Hi, I'm Erica, and I live off-grid with my husband and 2 kids. Join us for some summer days at our cabin in the woods. I used to think that it was a total waste of space and energy to plant flowers when you could plant vegetables that you could eat. Why would you plant something that you can't eat? Since then, I have watched how other people homestead and garden and learned that beauty is a really important part of life. Life should be enjoyed, and so planting flowers is an inexpensive and rewarding and truly beautiful way to add natural beauty into your life. We were going to cut this sunflower to go in our bouquet along with all of our calendula, but then realized there were 3 other buds growing on that stem, and I wasn't sure if sunflowers will bloom after you cut them. Let me know in the comments if you know. I know a lot of flowers do, but I wasn't sure on that one. I also didn't realize back then that many flowers can be used for medicinal purposes, in homemade creams and salves, and can also be eaten. For some greenery, we decided to head over to the greenhouse where we had an abundance of basil and cut a few basil stems to add, and of course, we had fun observing and holding the toads and frogs in the greenhouse too. This is our end result. Nothing fancy, just simple beauty. This is another day about a week later, and yes, I'm wearing the same outfit and hairstyle, so maybe that gives you a clue as to how minimal I keep my clothes and my hair. Hunting season is coming soon, so I went through our deep freezers and got out any old random packages of meat that we wouldn't be using, and I found a 2-year-old pack of elk ribs. And I decided I would feed that meat to the dog and give the rib bones to the chickens to pick clean. So that's what we did here. Take those bones to the chickens, and they enjoyed it. I really do my best to use meat before it gets freezer burnt, but I also love when things do fall through the cracks, having chickens and a dog to still use that meat. Our chicken feed bucket was just about empty, so I knew I needed to fill it up. But I had also noticed that some moisture had gotten in around the holes. And so a lot of the feed had become moistened and then hardened into clumps and was molding. So that's no good. So what I did was take the lid off, get some of those chunks out, what I could, and then I went and dumped the rest of the feed into the chicken run for the chickens to eat what they wanted, and then proceeded to use a stick to try to scrape out the rest of those moldy, clumped up bits. So you can see here I'm trying to break up those bits just around where the hole is, and just have a fresh start for this feed bucket. The main reason we got our dog Molly was to deter predators, and she does a great job. She always barks when there's something nearby, and we never see what it is, but we know that something's there because she barks and barks at it. So we figured this moisture problem happened because no matter the weather, whenever we would unplug the holes in the morning, we would place the red plugs on top of the bucket. And so if it had rained or the lid was moist, they would sit in water all day. And then when we would plug them back up at night when the chickens are inside the coop, that moisture is going in and touching the food and somewhat sealed in there. So now I'll be more aware of that and just dry off the plugs if they're wet before plugging up each of the holes at night. And that will hopefully prevent the problem. Let me know if there's something else I might be missing that you can see here. The lid of this tote that we keep some of the chicken feed in is broken. So that's why we had a couple of boards on top of it so that it would stay closed and the squirrels wouldn't be able to get in there and feast. Involving the kids definitely can take patience and make a task last a lot longer, but definitely worth it in my opinion, especially if they are desiring to help and ask to help. Molly is not supposed to go in the chicken run, but those ribs were mighty tempting to her, even though I gave her her own elk rib. Still hard to say no to those. We are a few months into having chickens, and it's still so exciting to go and collect eggs. We do it at least twice a day, if not more. We just so enjoy finding those little gems. I haven't shared much on the main garden, but plan to do a video on it in the future. But just so you know, we've got onions, popcorn, potatoes, and flowers in this garden. Next, we're heading down to the greenhouse to pick some ripe cucumbers. We get 1 or 2 of these a day, and we're also eating 1 or 2 of these a day, so it's going pretty well. Here's my overgrown tomato. And then we also had a little visit from our cat. His name's George. Kitty in the gutter. This cucumber we decided will become our seed cucumber, so we're gonna leave it on the vine until it turns bright yellow, and then we'll collect the seeds from it for planting next year. I recently planted some spinach and lettuce in the greenhouse, and those are starting to come up now. Back inside, we are giving the cucumbers a good wash to get any dirt off, and then storing them in the fridge. And we will continue to eat these so that we don't waste one. Like I said earlier, this is about a week after we made that initial bouquet, and the calendulas are dying, the petals are falling on the table. So we decided to collect those and dry them on our drying rack here. And I want to use them to make calendula tallow balm in the winter. I've been making tallow balm for a few years now, and this would just be a nice way to add some nourishing properties to it and a way to use up our beautiful calendula flowers after they are done being pretty. I head out to put these stems into our makeshift compost pile. We will be making a proper compost setup eventually, but for now we are just putting it in this pile that the previous owner started. And then I am starting another bouquet in the same vase with calendula. And then we finally had a couple of cosmos starting up, so I cut those and put them in as well. And went over to another spot in the garden to grab a sunflower. After doing this, I realized that I don't really love the look of a giant sunflower in a bouquet with a bunch of smaller flowers. So I think next time I would just wait until I had enough sunflowers to make just a sunflower bouquet, or just leave them on their stems to enjoy outside. I'm definitely not an expert or a perfectionist when it comes to creating flower bouquets for my home. I don't have a lot of time to figure it out. So I just cut the flowers and put them together. Sometimes I really like how it turns out. Sometimes I'm not a huge fan, but I still really enjoy seeing the flowers put together in my home, even if it's not the most perfect and beautiful bouquet. For lunch, we're having leftovers from a freezer meal we had the night before. We call this egg roll in a bowl, and we also mixed in some leftover peas and sliced up some homegrown cucumbers on the side. I absolutely love freezer meals. One of my strategies to always cook from scratch is to make bulk amounts of things, especially in the summer on cooler days, so I don't have to cook on hotter days. I can just pull out a meal from the freezer in the morning, let it thaw all day, and then heat it up in a skillet, and we've got a healthy from scratch lunch. I'll link below my collection of 25 healthy and easy freezer meals that I personally use, and it comes with a lot of tips on packaging, storing, reheating, and managing so nothing gets lost or freezer burnt. We do not have a dryer in our off-grid home, so there's two places that I dry laundry. One is outside, obviously, and the other is in our loft on some lines up there. In the summertime, there's no question that things dry so much faster outside, especially if it's a hot sunny day. These blankets took about 2 hours to be fully dried. Now, sometimes I do hang things up in the loft if the line is full or if it's a rainy day, and things up there can take up to 2 full days to dry. So it's really nice to just get things dried up on the line, put away, so they're not in the laundering process for days and days. As a mom of little kids that's flying solo much of the time, I have so much to do, and there's always things on my to-do list. And I really try to take at least a little chunk of every day to just play and enjoy my kids, because they're great, and that's what life's about. It's not about knocking out your to-do list. It's about the relationships and enjoying. So we spend time in the hammock. We run around outside. Sometimes I give them a wagon ride and run around as I pull them and get some exercise in too. So just a reminder, as these last days of summer are coming, take some time to just enjoy it and soak it in while you can, because that's what life's about. Stick. Molly. Did Molly break your stick? Rude. You dog. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are enjoying your summer wherever you're at. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.